Everybody get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance, do your dance at the Space Jam. Alright.
Talk about something that's coming out of the Lakers camp. Obviously, a big milestone for LeBron James, the first and only player in NBA history to do it. 40,000 points in, a loss, but unfortunately, but it was a big moment for him, a big moment for history. Throwing it over to you guys. Thoughts and opinions on the 40,000 point night for LeBron James.
Cool. Cool. Good job,
it's
bro.
so funny because I feel like I'm looking at like the LeBron fan and the Laker fan. One of you is like great accolade, and the other one just like another L. Like,
hey, and I'll kind of go into it. Well, I went to the game prior to this one on Thursday with my brother, and he was.
I was
40
curious.
away.
Was that because you thought he might hit it then?
Well,
or?
I mean, we had the tickets from the beginning of the season, right? Because we buy it off someone who has season tickets.
Gotcha.
So we were like 40 points, and he breaks 40,000. So we were hoping he only got to, I believe, 31 or something along those lines. So we ended up winning that game. So yay. But overall, the big picture of him losing that game, in my opinion, still revolves around Darvin Ham and his rotations. From what I saw and looked at kind of like highlights, review of the game, we were down 99-98. D'Lo gets subbed out with about eight minutes left. And then we're down 6, and he decides to sub D'Lo back in at a minute and a half. D'Lo has been the hot shooting hand for our team for the past 2 months. And I don't understand if you have someone who has a hot hand and is shooting well for you and can operate well alongside all the other starters, that you're going to bench him. Not only that, but not call 2 timeouts in the time that you had that losing run. So I don't understand it. I'm kind of getting sick and tired of it. But I am happy that D'Lo is still producing, and I'm glad that I can sit here with you guys today and say, why isn't D'Lo in, rather than why is he in?
Or why
did they lose by
yeah,
that
why?
game, though?
Huh?
How much did they
How
lose
much did we
by in
lose?
that game? Yeah. What was the score for that game?
I want to say it was single digits, but it wasn't necessarily a one possession game.
Was that the Saturday Nuggets game?
Yes, Saturday.
They lost by 10.
10. Oh,
124, 114. But it was close like all the way until like I would say the last few minutes.
Yeah. And I think another kind of point of that, you have a night that's supposed to be a big night for LeBron, and not saying that we should have to cater to him, but why wouldn't every player be trying to play their hardest? Davis finishes with like 17 and 12.
17-11.
17-11. You're supposed to be a superstar in this league, Anthony Davis. I don't need you to pick and choose which games that you're going to do well for us. I expect a little bit more, especially in a game against a team that eliminated you from the conference championship last year. It has to happen. Because now it's still, them having the upper hand on us all season long. I think that this could have been a good game because we were leading for most of that game. That we should have been able to kind of close it out in that fourth quarter, and we didn't, whether it's because of the poor play by some, poor rotations by a coach. But kudos to you, LeBron. 40K. 40K. I said my piece.
I feel like you didn't. Because you went around the one guy we're talking about here
Okay,
and
you're
blamed
right,
everyone else but him. I was like, you didn't really diss him. You just kind of said, like, on the night he did, Coaching was bad. The teammates were bad. This was bad. I'm like,
Okay, well, let me ask you that. Would you say that it was LeBron's fault that we lost?
here's where I'm going to say for LeBron's style of play, because this is how I feel for a majority of his entire career, because he always needs the ball in his hands, right? And at the end of the day, if you can't score to a certain extent where your team is literally carried to the victory, which we've seen in moments past, that he doesn't really have that sort of, I wouldn't say he has like the greatest plethora, like the greatest offensive game. Like he doesn't have like a bunch of go-to moves that he can bust out. Like whereas KD, yeah, he does have a bag. That's the exact word I was looking for. I was just like, why can I not think of this in the smallest word in the whole world? He doesn't really have a bag when it comes to like his offensive game. Like he does a lot of great things. He slowly picked up that throughout his career. He obviously got better with his 3-point shooting. He got better. But I mean, he's always been sort of a, give me some room, let me run to the basket, like I'm going to jam this on like 4 dudes. That's been kind of his shtick for his entire career. And yes, he's gotten better with some of his stuff, but even we saw in the Nuggets series last year, the end of the game, there's 4 guys in there. The only move he had was, I'm going to just try to be big guy and run through the middle and try to lay it up, whereas he could have probably got a better shot or made like some move to get like a good shot somewhere in the middle of the paint there. But specifically for this game, I just kind of feel like it's one of those things where it's like, we saw Kobe do it at the end of his career when somebody told him to get 60, you know what I mean? Like he was trying to go out there, but he also won the game. And I kind of feel like this was the moment where they were trying to like get him, the accolades, and they want to make it a good game, because it would have been lame if he needed 9 points and he got 10 points. You know what I'm saying? Like they had to it had to be like he gets the 9 points, but another 20 or whatever on top of that. I'm not actually entirely sure how much he scored throughout the game.
26.
26. Gotcha. So he had to do more, right? It couldn't just be like get 10 points, because then it would have been like, oh, you hit 40.
Like, I'm going to get my 10 and then get everybody 40.
You hit 40K, but you got 10 points. Yeah. So I don't know. The cynic in me is sort of looking at it where you have like this repeated theme of like him not showing up in the moments where he gets his accolade, but the team still takes an L. There's like a bunch of different moments like that throughout history, when he passed Kobe, when he passed Jordan, when he passed Kareem, all of those moments he took an L. And I just kind of feel like, I don't know. I was like, you could point to the coaching, you could point to the teammates, you can point to whatever you might want to point to, but at the end of the day, like this is your superstar. Like Anthony Davis, yes, he's a superstar 100%, but this is the guy you decided, let's go all in, put all our chips to the middle, let's build around this dude. We're not going to make a big move at the trade deadline because we feel like we have enough to compete this year, because that's what you have to have when you have a LeBron James on your team. And this is just one of those moments where, all the hype, but none of the dessert. We get kind of to the moment, but we don't really finish. And I just feel like, I don't know, in a big game like this, maybe it was not great defense, but they lost by 10. So at the end of the day, it's like, it could have been like putting D'Lo in, or it could have been calling a timeout, but realistically, it's just the team didn't come to play at the end of the day. And I don't really feel like it's necessarily his fault, but he is the leader, so I'm going to put the onus on him. Like, and I feel like as a leader...
But I mean, that's what I was saying, though. Like, the team didn't come to play. Like, AD, I expect you to come to play. When D'Lo was on the court, Rui performed phenomenally.
But I'm saying,
right?
He's the guy. Is AD the guy, or is it LeBron? Like, when we look at,
AD
like,
is
the
supposed
history...
to be that guy
when we look at the history
of,
like... No, but he's not. Come on. Who is the guy? There's only one guy on every team. It is LeBron James. Like, if you're going to compete... Next year, if LeBron James leaves this team, who is the guy? Or like, there's only one guy that's been on this team that's leading them to this championship run. Like, if LeBron leaves, all of a sudden the Lakers look like they're not a contender. Like, that's going to be the storyline that's built around what happens when LeBron leaves. Like, even if they traded LeBron to the Warriors, you guys get Andrew Wiggins and Chris Paul. Like, somehow the narrative is going to be the Lakers are in full rebuild mode or something. It's going to be something around that line, even though they have Anthony Davis on the team they still got AR on the team. They still got all these other guys. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of feel like if you're putting the onus on somebody, and I don't even feel like he's done that like this entire year. Like, there's never been like a moment where he's like, it's on me. Like, I'm LeBron James. I'm the guy. I'm supposedly the king. I'm the highest scoring player in the history of the NBA. But like, there's never been I haven't seen one interview post game where he's like, guys, this was 100% on me. Like, I'm the leader of this team. We should have won this game. It's always been something like some narrative or something about like how he's the kid from Akron or whatever the hell. Like, I never see like him taking ownership of these losses. And I just feel like we're going back cyclically, like we're doing this over again and again and again and again. It's going to be thrown on Darvin Ham, and it's going to be thrown on Anthony Davis, and it's going to be thrown on this entire squad. But there's always one centerpiece guy who is consistently a part of all of these teams where everybody else is the problem. And that's why I feel like you're saying it, but you're not saying it, because you still kind of went with the cyclical thing where it's like everybody on the team is doing bad except for
but I'm not looking
the
at it
main
as a whole
guy.
encompassing. I'm talking about this game specifically. Like I agree with you a lot of those points. Like I agree that he does need to take more leadership, more ownership on those. But for this game specifically, it was one of those situations where I'm looking at it. LeBron still does his assists. He only takes about 20 field goals. AD only takes about 13. Rui gets a lot more opportunity. He scores well. I don't understand why we can't be able to move the ball a little around a little more, get these guys involved that we're supposed to be getting involved, because we all know Jokic can't guard AD like the way we would want someone to guard AD, right? And it should be a little bit more of a situational thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't agree, because I do. We all know that we've discussed this before. LeBron is kind of the self-proclaimed
but
person
you didn't
he is.
vocalize it. That's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah,
your
because I'm
entire
not saying-
speech was.
But I'm not
Like,
saying
you
that
see,
this
you're saying that now,
No,
but I was
no,
like, your
no, but
initial
I'm not
speech was
saying-
Darvin Ham,
But
then
it's
D'Lo.
something
and all
I'm in
these other
agreement
things.
with. But for
Why don't I
this
go make
game,
some popcorn? I'll be back.
I'm saying for this game specifically, that's not what I saw. I'm not saying that it isn't
I'm
a
just saying,
prevalent
the
thing.
man gets another accolade, they take another L. I'm putting it out there that it maybe
I mean, that's
maybe
been the
somebody's
Lakers'
putting.
MO. That's been the Lakers' MO though. For
But I'm
anytime
talking
it's a
about
big
him
thing.
specific, his career, for his career accolades. Every time he has passed an accolade, he has taken an L. That's what I'm putting out there.
And
Like,
the
what I'm
accolades
saying
were on
is,
the Lakers, and it's just the Lakers.
I know,
thing.
but that's what I'm saying is like
No,
this
I know, I got
dude.
you, I got
We're
you.
putting it out there that like
Yeah.
this guy. Every time there's a big game, like I understand all
Kobe
that
night.
stuff you just.
Oh no, we lose again.
Yeah, exactly. That was
Passing it.
another
Oh,
one. Yeah,
no,
that's
we lose again.
another big one. But I just
that's
feel like
just-
I don't know if it's him putting too much pressure on what the night is supposed to be, or him looking towards like something. I really can't place it, but I just feel like when these big moments are supposed to happen, he's not showing up in the big moment. Like
That's fair.
I
Okay,
get what
that's
you're
fair.
saying. Like I understand.
No,
I
no,
understand
I get it. And I feel
But yeah.
the way like that statement alone, I definitely am totally agreeing. Like when the game
Yeah.
is for more than just the win column, you
I just remembered.
are putting a good point out.
I remember the topic that I wanted to get into discussion about today. It's actually centered around this exact. That's exactly why I was like, why was I so passionate about this specific argument?
I was like,
but there
what's going
there
on?
was there was a reason why I was bringing it up. But I'm gonna actually
Well,
throw it over
anyways,
to.
let's get Jared's point on LeBron's game.
No, I'm gonna throw it over to Jared because that he's actually the first one I wanted to speak about when it came to this specific topic. So I
How's
am
it feel to be
curious
the,
for
the
you.
best fan of a bum. I'm just kidding.
Okay, all right.
I'm
Okay.
just kidding.
What?
I was,
fan?
I was
kidding.
I was like, anyway, I was like, I joked about it, but I would never say he's a bum.
I'm just
Uh,
kidding.
I'm gonna throw over to you, Jared, because this was something that was brought. I can't remember who said it. I don't know if it was JJ. It was one of the podcast people, but anyway, we're talking about how this accolade comes and goes, right? Obviously, within the last month or so, the Kobe Bryant statue was revealed. Was it within the month?
Yeah, it was
so, right?
within
Yeah,
the
okay.
last month.
Kobe Bryant statue was revealed. A lot of people are now wondering whether or not LeBron James will get a statue for Los Angeles. Like, will he receive a statue for the Los Angeles Lakers? Do you think it's warranted? Obviously, there are people who believe that he should get one for Los Angeles, for Miami, for Cleveland, all of the teams that he's been on. But I'm going to throw it to you because as the resident LeBron fan, I'm curious. Do you think that he has done enough with the Lakers organization to earn him a statue in front of them? Because, I just remember who it was. It was Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas was sort of talking about how the players that are getting statues, there should be sort of this expected value of what you bring to an organization. Because when you put a guy like Kobe and put him in a statue and look at his overall career and what he was able to do, the onus should be this is the bar you're setting right here. Like Kobe Bryant is the bar you're setting for any organization to have a statue. So do you think LeBron is warranted to have a statue with Los Angeles? Do you think that he shouldn't get one with them, but he should with the other organizations? Like, how do you feel about his career and what he should get?
I mean, as far as the other organizations, it's kind of hands down, right? You bring Cleveland there first, you go to Miami, and you do not exactly what you said, but you win championships there, and you bring the city back into prevalent, relevant, just making them relevant in the NBA, right? Mm-hmm. For me, it's kind of a toss up with LA. I know a lot of people will say no, but it's just for what you do for the organization. I would say no. Like if we're just saying what he has done, he got a championship. He's brought LA kind of back on the map and whatnot after, like Kobe them had their bad years. Kobe went out on a high note, and then we were talking about the rebuild and all this other stuff. So, I mean, he's done a lot for that city. The only reason why I'm kind of against the no is just because I feel like no matter where you break something like the scoring record, it should be kind of touted in that sense, because he's, like I said, he's won a championship there. I don't think he's done enough to say like sorry, as far as like standards, like how you talked about like the Kobe, even Shaq having a statue is a standard, you know what I mean, of what they've done and how it's been. I do think that's where LeBron does need to win one more, maybe, I would say, as far as when it comes to LA. But as far as like, if you're just recognizing his career and not just what he's done with LA, like I'm all for it, because like I said, he beat Kareem there. He passed Kareem there. He's got the 40,000 there, first, like those type of accolades. Like you said, sometimes stat chasing is meaningless, but it's not, I don't feel like he stat chases as much as people like to put it in. I do think, like you said, and this is where I'll kind of agree, like just the era of basketball that you play in, but it's like watching Luka right now, Luka's throwing up triple doubles just because of the time that they're playing in and how he's able to maneuver and do things. But it's not an accolade that you can just like throw away because it's the first ever in NBA history. It's the first time anybody's even come close to beating Kareem, right? And then finally passing Kareem. So statue wise, as far as like career presence, I get it. But if you're just saying what he's done in LA alone, everybody wants to talk about the Mickey Mouse ring or whatever. It's still tough to win a ring no matter where you go. It's not like people weren't playing well in the bubble, but I do think he does need to win at least. I would say just one more. He does need to win one more, or make the conference, make the NBA finals with the LA team. Like if he comes out this year and they make the NBA finals, man, you got to think of where they are right now. The Warriors just passed them in the standings. So they're at that play-in, the 10th seed play-in. And if they win the Western Conference with the way the Western Conference is this year and how tough it is this year, I do think that proves a lot, at least for him. But he does have to, like you guys say, show up. Yeah. And I do think he has been. Like, I don't think he's taken as much leadership as he has in the past, or at least this season. But he has shown up. I mean, you get what, 30 plus against the Clippers. You get 31 in the overtime win. You get leading scorer in this game. Yeah, the Clipper game, he took off.
It really sucks that couldn't be his career. You know what I mean? Like that couldn't have been the night that he got the 40,000 night. Man. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But this is where I'm going to talk about the other side of things, because LeBron is LeBron, and like the accolades and the things that you get. You're going to have teams every single night that, LeBron's going to get his 40 against us, so let's make sure he doesn't win. Look at MPJ. MPJ goes 10 of 10, 5 of 5 from the three-point line. Shoots perfect that night. Scores 25 points. Jokic does his normal 35, 7, and 10. It's not like these teams that they're playing against don't try to show up because they know, hey, we're getting an accolade against us, so let's just make sure he really doesn't get the dub. And I think that's what you'd want to see on the Lakers side of the ball. But I get the other side, because if I'm having something broken against me, man, you are not winning the game. Like if you're going to
That's a
break the
great
3-point
point,
record
yeah.
against me,
Mhm.
I'm going to make sure everybody else doesn't score so that I can at least say, hey, you got it, great. Kudos to you, but we beat you in the big game. And I think
Yep.
that's what it comes down to when
It's like you
we talk about
still
record-breaking
took the
nights.
L. Like,
Yeah,
it's like-
exactly.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. But I think that's what teams do. Like they show up because they know it's inevitable that he's going to break it. So why not take the bigger picture of the game?
You're like,
But you would
Christian
want your
Braun, and
teammates
you're like,
to fight for you in that aspect. So I
you're
get
like
where
Christian
Nolan's coming
Braun is
from.
like,
I get
no
where
one's
you
gonna
are.
remember me, but you took the L. it's like I won't go down in history, but you still took the L. Like that's how it'd be if I was one of those
And
no names on the side.
to round about the whole point and get to where Nolan was talking about this game, I think for me,
Yeah.
the biggest thing in this game wasn't just about the rotations, is the bench doesn't show up. The bench
Yeah.
scored a total of 12 points.
Nice.
12 points.
4 guys scores 12 points.
I don't know why
Yeah, I'm
And
sorry.
And I
You're
would
gonna
say
have to lay this out. Who's your rotation right now? So who's the starter
For that
and
game, it
who
was
are-
Cam, Tureen, Jackson Hayes, and Dinwiddie. Those were the only 4 coming off the bench.
Oh, I was like,
For
that's
that
your
game.
starter unit.
No, those were the 4 coming
The
off
starters,
Oh,
I think
gotcha.
the starting unit is fine
starting
right now.
unit's
We're
fine.
having Rui
Yeah.
there. Rui's
Yeah.
killing it.
Yeah, we're like 7-2 with Rui starting. I was like, this is what we wanted from the beginning of the season, but
And he's
decided
scoring like
to-
completely
20s.
forgot
He's
about
scoring in the
Dinwiddie.
20s.
Completely forgot.
Yeah, the
you guys got
rotation,
it.
I mean, having Dinwiddie, because we know what Dinwiddie brings to the game, but I think having more of a prevalent, more of a use with him.
There was
because-
a stat. I think they said we were like 6-0 or 7-0 when Prince only plays under 12 minutes, and I was like, he played 12 minutes, and look what happened. I was like, damn.
Catch their curse. But yeah, for me, that if we're just pinpointing this game, I think it's more bench wise, and I mean that does play into the rotation, like Nolan said. But I mean,
Yeah.
Denver did come to play, so
I
you gotta
mean,
expect
Yeah,
that as well.
I would add-
that is one thing I think people are not thinking about. Is like the Nuggets are on the rise right now. As we get closer and closer to playoffs, they're in form.
They're
right
building
now.
in the right way. They're on that.
Yeah.
They're on their way
They're
to their
ready to
peak.
go.
They're still
Yeah.
rising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, you were gonna add.
But I'll-
Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, as a Laker fan, like LeBron shouldn't get a statue unless he, like Jared said, gets another ring
In LA,
Because if anything,
yeah.
if anything, like, why don't Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu have a statue outside their arena first?
Yo.
Kawhi should get one outside of Toronto because he got a ring there, didn't he? So why don't you give Kawhi a ring or a statue outside Toronto's arena, right?
The Spurs big three would go hard in a
yeah,
legit
easily.
statue. That would be
Easily.
dope.
That would be
I'm sure
kinda
that's
cool.
gonna
Even
come.
though
I'm sure that's coming
I'm-
soon. All right.
I was like, even though I'm gonna put it out there, the Kobe statue doesn't look great, but I was like,
I mean, there's,
I don't know
there's room for improvement. There's
really
room
feels
for improvement.
like
Everybody's
it
learning.
didn't look that great. With that said, the final thing I do want to kind of get into here, just going to throw it over to both of you guys. We have a good old fashioned MVP debate between Sir Jason Tatum and Sir Luka Doncic, two guys who are on two great organizations. Will be faces of faces of the NBA in quite some time, in very little time. I mean, it seems like now the generation of LeBron and Steph and all them are slowly but surely phasing themselves out of the league a bit. But we have two guys who probably will be at the top of the MVP ladder. Do you guys have a choice of who you think will eventually take home the crown?
You already know what I'm going to say.
Jason Tatum.
And you'd be wrong. It's got to be Jason Tatum. When you really look at it,
Ooh.
you really think about it. First of all, Mavericks are currently at the 8th seed.
They are at the 8th seed, yes.
Jason Tatum is clearing away on the first top spot team. You take Jason Tatum out of that team lineup, I don't think they win as many games as they do. You take Luka out of the game, I think they could still technically replicate their record right now with
At that
Kyrie.
point, I think that's an opposite point, I feel.
Really?
I'm
I mean, I
opposite
still
with
think.
that.
I mean,
Drew Holiday, Jalen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis.
you think
Al
that they
Horford.
could
White-
be clearing
Derek
away
White
with 48
has been
wins?
playing
I
well,
think
too.
that Jason Tatum
was
is
like-
clearing away the MVP for that. to be performing at that level with those guys around you and still
I
be
agreed
able to
with you until you said that point. I think
okay,
that's
fair. That's fair.
I was like,
that's
I think
fair.
team success wise, he's fantastic. But if you were to take him out, I think the Celtics still have a much better team
I
than
don't
the
think
Mavericks
that
have.
I'm not saying that they would do terrible. I don't think they would replicate the proficiency that they're doing right now with all of them.
But you said that the Mavericks would float without Luka. Are you kidding me?
Yes,
What?
I think they would. To replicate
Look at that
seed,
team.
to replicate
Luka-
an 8 seed in the West.
Okay,
This is a team that we've been
we're just
talking
gonna be
about
simple
that needs
about
to get
this.
a new squad. Like,
I
if
know,
you drop
but I'm just
Luka
saying you
out,
still have Kyrie there. It's not like he's losing a whole point guard.
that is a bottom of the league team without Luka Doncic.
Okay,
You're
all right.
kidding me.
Either
with that
way,
take.
I'm going with Tatum.
Okay,
I agreed with you until you dropped. That was the worst point you could have thrown up first.
I'm going with Luka.
Who has more?
Gonna be
Like,
easy.
just based on who has more value to their team, you're going to say Jason
but I'm saying,
Tatum.
are you going to give him the MVP as an 8 seed? Are you going to give Luka an MVP?
I didn't say I agreed with you about Jason Tatum. I think Jason Tatum should get it because his team's success. But if you're taking that guy out of his line, if you were to switch Luka and Jason Tatum, I mean, come on, this is two
If you switch
completely
Luka and Jason Tatum,
crap organizations.
the Boston Celtics would be on pace to have the best record in NBA ever if Luka played on the Boston Celtics.
If the Mavericks with Luka are the 8th seed,
I'm saying
you
that
think
the Mavericks could still
float
replicate
at the 8th seed?
Yeah, I think they still can.
That's wrong. That's a terrible take. There is no way
right,
that Mavs team without Luka is an 8th seed.
Go ahead then. All right.
There's literally no way.
I said my piece. We're done.
We got Helldivers to play. Let's get into this.
That was a terrible take. I agreed with who you picked. I don't agree with your point. That was a terrible point.
So,
throwing it over to you, Jared.
So with Keone's point, and not only Keone's point, but Keone's point mainly for me is exactly what you guys said. I would say Jason Tatum deserves MVP because of their team rank right now. Best record in the league. He is their top scoring option and things like that. But if we're just going by player stats and like we're not looking at your team success, Luka's 35, 9, and basically 10. And he leads the team in steals at 1.5. You take that away. Yeah, he's 34.5, 8.9, 9.7, and 1.5. He actually plays defense amazingly. You know, I think it's just his ability to read the game, in all honesty. Kyrie is their next best option at 25.7. Tim Hardaway is 16.4. Now you go to the other side of it. Jason Tatum's 27. Brown is 22. Porzingis is 20. White and Holiday, 15 and 12. Like, you look at the stat line of how balanced scoring that is, like, that's kind of crazy in my opinion. Now, that's why I like with Nolan's take. Like, I get that Jason Tatum does a lot for this team, but he doesn't lead in any other he leads in rebounds on that team at 8.4.
That's
so Luka actually out rebounds him anyway.
Horford, I was like, considering Horford and Porzingis are on that squad, that is pretty. I didn't realize he's leading in rebounds. That's pretty insane to think about.
Yeah, he's actually leading in rebounds by a lot too. Like, I think their next top rebounder is 6.9, and that is Porzingis. So it's nice to see that but I mean, like, Luka's
it's good to see that Porzingis has found a good niche for where I think in his part of his career.
I thought he was an underrated. Like, that was a perfect signing for what the Celtics needed.
Perfectly in that.
Well, we said they needed to extend that 5 guard, and Al Horford coming off the bench, he still got good minutes, and he still does a lot for that team. But I mean, having a star, like, I would say a star like Porzingis to be able to come in and fill in that role, that's great. But yeah, for me, like, Jason Tatum would take this MVP award based off team success and everything and his leadership role on that team. But if we're going just player for player, not looking at that, I know they're an 8 seed, but man, the things that Luka does, he drops you a triple-double basically every night. Every time I check the Mavs stat line, it's either super close or it's
and the
there.
fact that he stayed healthy is a good thing for them this year.
And that's exactly the biggest point.
His ankles are just...
he's gotten a little more help, I will say, yes, with Kyrie. So because then he doesn't have to do as much on that offensive end. But you look at how much ball possession I would say Luka has. I don't know the exact number of it, but I just know how that team runs, and the ball possession and the things that runs through Luka is just got to be off the charts compared to everybody except maybe Wemby.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, yes, Jason Tatum deserves the MVP, team success. I think he stepped up, like I said, leadership and everything. But if we're going by player, I'm going to stick with Luka. I told you I love watching this kid play. I think he's like going to be the face of the NBA, just of everything that he does and how he plays the game and how he enjoys the game. He competes, but man, that kid just knows how to have fun and have a good balance, and teammates love playing with him. But yeah, that's my take, at least as far as like who like MVP race for those two at least.
Yeah, I know it's honestly, I don't have anything invested in either of them. You know what I mean? As far as like I'm obviously a Chicago Bulls fan, so like realistically, it could go to either one of them. But I do agree with what Nolan was saying regarding the team success. It does kind of point out towards like where we were saying the Rookie of the Year thing should also include sort of the team success, which is a little weird, but at the end of the day, I mean, you really can't go wrong with either of them. They're going to be faces of the NBA very soon because they're showing out and playing unreal basketball. We're going to bounce on out of here. Thank you for joining us on this episode of After the Buzzer. We're here to talk all NBA basketball each and every week. Boys, you guys have any last nuggets before we bounce on out of here?
For those of you who are in fantasy basketball, good luck. It's week 1.
For those of you watching the Warriors, sorry about the loss yesterday, but they've been playing great basketball. Up until that point. So I tip it. I tip it.
All right. With that said, it has been a pleasure. It's been a joy from all of us here at Poi N Soy.
Love and love, everybody.
Bang, bang. Shorts.